Louder with Crowder Studios is protected exclusively by Walther and Hopper.
By the way, are we paying Hillary Clinton's hairstylist on a curve? What is going on? It just seems like you go back in history, like, oh, it was always bad.
Yeah, it never changed.
Yeah, it wasn't like, those ladies, they go through that crossover age where it's like, I'm just going to cut it short now and do this sort of flock of seagulls. She's always done that.
It's like Taco Bell. They keep revamping it, but it still just sucks.
It's the same exact thing.
Yeah.
So teachers are actually paid well. Let me lay the case out for you. Now, I'm not saying the teachers aren't important.
It begins on a dark night. Look at this. You're not gonna find another girl like her in a million years.
It's all so magical.
I've never had fun. Sorry, ride that fast. Someday a boo.
And does it say? Never done.
I've never had fun. Sorry, ride that fast. Someday a boo. Do you trust me? Say to me,
Have my life
wonderful time in my. You should salam.
Father, and does it say?
Say to me,
Have my life
wonderful Jasmine. You should salam.
Father, and does it say?
I'm going to free the genie.
I ran away, and I am not going back. And I am not going back.
You should.
I ran away, and I am not going back.
Let's make some magic.
Husband, you talk about when did you last? Husband, Jasmine, talk about
Not going back.
husband, you talk about when did you last? Husband, Jasmine, talk about. There's this girl.
I've never
Fun, sorry, ride that fast. Someday a boo.
and does it say?
There's no time in my life without you.
I've never
Fun, sorry, ride that fast. Someday a boo.
and does it say? I ran away, and I am not going back. And I am not going back.
You should.
I ran away, and I am not going back. And I am not going back.
Oh my. It's mine. It's death.
Jag har just förtråkigt. Därmed. Jag har just förtråkigt. Därmed.
It's mine. It's death.
It's all so magical. What are you doing?
Just play along. Husband, you talk about when did you last? Husband, Jasmine, talk about. Husband, you talk about when did you last? Husband, Jasmine, talk about. Say to me,
Have my life wonderful
time in my. You should salam.
Father, and does it say?
Say to me,
Have my life wonderful
time in my. You should salam.
Father, and does it say? Never done.
I've never fun. Sorry, ride that fast. Someday a boo.
And does it say? Never done.
I've never fun. Sorry, ride that fast. Someday a boo.
And does it say?
right, thank you. Goodbye.
Let's go.
Take those pills.
Louder with Crowder Studios is
Take
protected
those pills.
exclusively by Walther and Hopper.
Here you go. Itching, sweating, take those pills. Thirsty, drowsy, take those pills. Worms, take those pills. I think you should take it. Itching, sweating, take those pills. Thirsty, drowsy, take those pills. Worms, take those pills.
Look.
I think you should take it. Itching, sweating, take those pills. Thirsty, drowsy, take those pills. Worms, take those pills.
How many subscribers you got on YouTube, son?
Let's go.
Take those pills. The full 30 days.
You crossed over that 1 million
Take
mark.
those pills. Allergy pills. I think you
You were
should take
beautiful.
it. Take those pills. The full 30 days.
Could have been the next
Take
high.
those pills. Allergy pills.
Hat vision, Scott. I got you for a lawyer.
The full 30 days.
Used your profile too fast.
I think you should take it.
It wasn't him, Nichole Jared, it was you.
Full 30 days.
You remember that night at South by Southwest you told me it'd be a great idea to crash Cenk Uyghur's panel?
Those pills did
You said it'd be a great idea.
these pills. Take these pills.
Great idea. We were demonetized before that broadcast even went live.
Pills. Worms. Take those
So what happens? Cenk Uyghur gets direct support from YouTube, and what do I get? A one-way ticket to demonetization bill. You were my producer, Nichole Jared. You should have looked out for me a little bit. Should have taken care of me just a little bit, so I wouldn't have had to do those web-based security ads for the short-end money.
I got you in the MySpace trending list. You saw some clicks.
You don't understand. I could have had class. I could have been at the ball. I could have been somebody. Instead of a mug club salesman bum. Which, let's face it, Nichole Jared is what I am. It was you, Nichole Jared.
Okay.
Hope everything turns out okay.
I'll tell YouTube. Couldn't find you. Here. Take this Walther PPS with extended mag and Crimson Trace laser. You're gonna need it.
That's a high-quality item.
Yes.
That is the sound of the weekend. It's a Thursday live stream. Jim Norton and Ben Shapiro on today's show. Also, today's show brought to you by Hopper's Tramadol. I blew my back. When I say blew my back, I have a ruptured disc, and I didn't warm up properly today doing deadlifts. It was so loud that the guy who owned the gym heard a pop. He was like, "You hurt your back?" I said, "Yeah, it's funny. Leave me." Producing with me in video studio, as always, is Jared, who is not gay. Follow him on Twitter at NotGayJared, me at SCrowder, with your thoughts, your comments, your photoshops. I'm a meme now, no big deal. I fulfill my legal obligations, drawing conclusions. Are we good?
I'm not a meme. It's my goal.
And at G Morgan G, but you took the picture.
I did take the picture.
How sad is that? That's what he clings to. And I teed him up for it, and he still took it. SimplifiedWine.com. How are you, Gerald? What's the one of the day?
Doing well. We've got the little Laurent Perrier, like just a little baby bottle here for you.
Bottles. Hey,
Yeah.
Sven Computer with the overlays. Ready?
Beep, beep. Yes, you can follow me on Twitter.
Nope. All right, no, seriously. Hopper, I found this out. I asked the vet, and then I asked the pharmacist at the CVS. They said, yeah, it's the same pain pills.
Same exact thing.
Serious?
Tramadol. It's the same pain pills.
Does it cost less?
I don't know, but these pills expired in like 2016.
That was a while ago.
Which is a good thing. It's a good thing because it shows that I'm not an addict, that I can have,
There you go.
I don't know if it's an opiate or opioid. Watch, you're off to a rocky start. But the bad thing is, I took pills that expired 2 years ago.
Yeah, but to your point, the latter. Most comedians cannot claim they have 2-year-old pills.
2-year-old pills that have been sitting in there.
Like Wolf of Wall Street is going to hit you in a little bit.
Yeah,
Just
exactly.
going to be
There's gonna
screwed.
a fuse. Hey, by the way, question of the day is: do you think we're going to talk about this? Obviously, in light of the West Virginia story, do you think public school teachers are woefully underpaid? That seems to be the acceptance among society today. I disagree.
Sorry.
Why are you laughing?
Because that statement is so hilarious to me.
All we do is pay them more. You don't deserve it. The most important job in the world is teaching. I'd say killing bin Laden. News of the day. McDonald's is flipping its trademark arches upside down to honor women on hashtag International Women's Day.
Brilliant.
McDonald's will flip its logo upside down to form a W on all digital channels, including its Instagram and Twitter feeds, and 100 restaurants will have special packaging, crew shirts, and hats and bag stuffers for us. So grab them by the golden arches. That's the week. And jumping on the feminist bandwagon, of course, Wendy herself will also be going topless.
Oh,
There you go.
Chipotle just shamelessly released a taco bowl with 50% less listeria. That seems almost tasteless and not related to Women's Day.
I don't think it's going to go over well at all for feminists because I think McDonald's is half the reason they're gelatinous and single. So I don't think they're going to buy it.
Pronounce that now, by the way, with a W instead of an M there.
They're not going to buy it because they've already bought a lot of it.
Yeah.
1 billion served. That could read, okay, 800 million feminists served. The rest is take a guess. The world, by the way, this was fascinating. Every now and then you get a story that's just a feel good. The world's oldest message in a bottle was found by a beach walker in Australia. This comes from The Guardian. The bottle had been thrown overboard from a German sailing ship in 1886.
Wow.
Nice.
Across the Indian Ocean. Did you know this? Did this come from a German story, Sven Computer?
I don't think so. No.
That's why you don't get to plug your Twitter. He's not even ready when I go to it. Luckily, the discovery of the message in a bottle was caught on tape. It's the international language of message in a bottle.
Everybody knows it.
In a bottle. Oh, hey,
The universe is telling you that.
That's true. I guess that would be. If Trudeau had collected that, someone would be sued.
Yeah. Exactly.
By the way, hey, hit the notification bell if you're watching on YouTube because subscribing doesn't mean anything anymore. So if you want to be notified of our videos and not have the Google overlord stop it, there you go. Hit the bell.
There you go.
A woman was arrested for attempting. Then we're going to talk about public school teachers, but this is a story that's more important. A woman was arrested for attempting to trick Albuquerque authorities yesterday when she claimed she had a prescription for medical methamphetamine.
Creative.
Really is a thing. The lady roused suspicion when she claimed that she had a prescription for the drug, just like medical marijuana. And the suspicions were all but confirmed when she informed them that her copay would be toothless blowjobs. It's terrible. What is it, an 80-20? It's 100.
medical meth is not a thing, but it is.
Not. It can be. Oh, no. Speaking of which, a new study shows that marrying your first cousin is not as bad as we thought.
Oh, thank God.
Research. No, bring it back up, Sven Computer. It was conducted over 7 years by a data scientist in Columbia University, and it shows that it's okay to marry your first cousin as long as your children do not marry their first cousins.
Yeah, just cut it off somewhere.
Yeah.
Yes, said third cousin Andy.
Cute.
By the way, fun fact, 20 states today still allow cousin marriage, and we'll talk about them in a minute. West Virginia is not amongst them.
That's hilariously surprising.
It's the forbidden fruit of the land.
It is.
That's where they drew the line. Really, West Virginia?
Here's the thing, though. Here's the another extra fun fact. Sexual relationships with said cousin, totally permissible.
Hold on, Sven Computer, can you fact check? Is that true?
Yes, that is true. Beep, beep.
Okay, no Twitter plug. That is so sexual relation allowed with your cousins in West Virginia, but not marriage.
Yeah.
No, hey, you make an honest woman out of her, you divorce her and bang her on the side. That's what separates us from the beasts of the sea.
Stringing her along would just be indecent.
It would just be indecent.
Don't you commit. Don't you commit.
By the way, the fact that someone at Columbia took 7 years to study this, is he on a watch list somewhere?
Probably so.
I feel like he came back to his, this is peer reviewed. He came back to his peers.
He can't
Told
fly.
Told ya.
Exactly.
It just can't be 2 generations down.
He's got a first cousin
I like
after.
taking his rights first and due process later.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Due process later for him. Grab him by the golden arches. Israel is in the process, by the way, of building a Jewish Disneyland.
Oh, good.
Designed by rabbis. And it's as fun as it sounds. The American company ITech is planning a theme park based on Jewish values, and it will feature Torah-themed rides, Jewish cultural cuisine, and a fast pass lane, actually, for patrons to bitch about rising ticket prices. So.
Nothing. This park because everything has gone wrong with this world.
This podcast is
You know who I am. I've been to Cedar Point. I'm in the Magic Kingdom. I had a season pass to Hershey Park in 1985. It sucks. It sucks. Who the hell are you?
Of course, by the way, not a country, just so you know, but always trying to keep up this development has prompted Palestine to break ground on their new theme park. 6 over Gaza Strip. Yeah, that's...
Oh, gosh.
Oh, look at all the children having fun. And they're human shields.
And they're human shields. That was almost immediate.
That's weird. That happened fast.
Hey, why is a guy firing an AK from the top of the Mr. Toad ride? Stop!
Oh, my gosh.
It's for the cause. All right, listen, we're going to have to get to Ben Shapiro. Speaking of Jews, Ben Shapiro soon.
There you go.
And then we have Jim Norton. We'll be on. It's going to be a relaxed day because how am I doing with the pain pills?
You're doing all right.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, 5 for 10.
I'm swinging above my batting average. I'm getting better. Name that movie line, by the way. I'm getting better. Where's that from? No one here.
Oh.
Tweet me at Crowder. So here's one thing I wanted to talk about today. We've talked about it on the show, but haven't really gotten in depth. I know I'm going to get some flack for this. That's why it's the question of the day. Many people have the idea in their head that public school teachers are severely underpaid public servants. Where do they get that? Well, here.
Is the fact that teachers are just going to have to keep accepting lower salaries despite the importance of our job, of their job.
But we as a society have decided, teaching's not that important. It's only our job.
Yeah, that's right. That's
Right? And because we make that decision, we're the taxpayers. We're the ones who decide how much the teachers get, and we won't pay them.
Not only don't we pay teachers what they deserve to be paid, in other countries that have better test scores than ours, you hear about that all the time, actually, teachers get paid much more on an even standard with professionals who are engineers and in other walks of life.
My sister is a teacher, and I know how much effort they put into this. They don't ask for a lot of recognition. They're certainly not going into teaching for the money.
Although some do. Talk about a sister. By the way, how's your brother? Teaching actually pays here's the truth. They're actually paid pretty well. And so one thing, I know it's unpopular to say because it's the most important job. No, not really. It's really not. By the way, are we paying Hillary Clinton's hairstylist on a curve? What is going on? It just seems like you go back in history, like, oh, it was always bad.
Yeah, it never changed.
Yeah, it wasn't like, those ladies, they go through that crossover age where it's like, I'm just going to cut it short now and do this sort of flock of seagulls. She's always done that.
It's like Taco Bell. They keep revamping it, but it still just sucks.
It's the same exact thing.
Yeah.
So teachers are actually paid well. Let me lay the case out for you. Now, I'm not saying that teachers aren't important, that they shouldn't be paid what they're worth. That is not what I'm saying. Hold your comments. Let's compare them first to other government workers. School jobs, okay? Some of the better paying ones out there. See this first chart from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. They receive more than 2 times the benefits of employees in the private sector, by the way. The average public school teacher, this comes to us, I think, National Review, more than double the benefits package received by typical workers in the private sector. So when we take the benefits into account, overall compensation is actually higher than private sector teachers, which, listen, shouldn't surprise you, obviously.
Yeah.
Public dole, they're going to be paid more than private teachers.
Yeah.
They don't do better, by the way. Test scores aren't better. Now, here's something we haven't even mentioned yet. We've compared them to other government workers to private school teachers. They only work 9 months out of the year.
Yeah.
This is the one thing nobody talks about when we talk about what they're paid. So the average salary for a public school teacher is about $57,000.
Which is not nothing. That's a lot.
No, it's not. But if we prorate that for working 12 months, not even including the benefits, by the way, instead of 9, teachers will be making $76,000. $76,000, well above the average salary, by the way, for workers with a college degree. So if we're going to do that, because I don't want to, well, you can't, these people, they go to college. Okay, let's not just compare them to a McDonald's worker, 5 for 15. It is higher than the average college degree worker, and in line with the median salary for workers with master's degrees are higher. $77,000. By the way, something else, it doesn't matter what your test scores are. Doesn't matter how your students are doing. You're paid that amount, and they're nearly impossible to fire, even if they suck.
That's true.
You'd have to be given the Kevin Spacey treatment to your students times 5 for them to even consider getting you out of a rubber room.
And then it'll take you about 1.5 to 2 years to go.
Yes. Yeah. It looked like you were going to say something.
Yeah, so I think it's just absolutely insane. I had never heard that clip, by the way, that you played at the beginning when they were saying that teachers just accept lower and lower pay.
When was the last time teachers have ever accepted lower pay?
Like, I just laughed out loud because I'm like, I didn't even know that was out there in the narrative.
The thing is, okay, listen, so here's what's going to happen this year. I know you were expecting a 12% rate. We're going to give you a 2.5% raise this year. You're cutting our pay?
Yeah.
No. Maybe you misheard me.
It's actually called a raise. And every single time that this argument comes up, they're like, it's for the children, it's for the children. Our scores are terrible. We do nothing but throw money at the problem. We spend, we're like ranked 5th in the world in spending per student, 40% more than other OECD countries out there. And you're telling me that you need to raise teachers and you still suck? Yeah. Are you serious?
Where else does that occur? Imagine
Nowhere.
you guys coming in here to like, well, listen, I'm sorry that the overlays were not prepared. I'm sorry the sketches were not edited, but I feel I'm deserving of a raise. You're fired.
I know our scores are
I'm going to
going
direct
down.
you to the rubber room. It's like, go in there, you can't touch me.
Can't fire me.
1 foot
Union.
in, 1 foot out. Just, what was it? Waiting for Superman was the film about. And they talked about rubber rooms. And I knew about this because I was on
in New
John
York,
Sasha's
right?
show. Yeah, a long time ago. This filmmaker was a leftist, by the way, was a liberal. I should say, and they jumped all over the filmmakers because it showed kind of the corruption of teachers' unions.
Yeah.
By the way, if you want to talk about money and politics, I always talk about big oil, Koch brothers, not even close to the money being bandied about by public sector unions.
Yeah.
Teachers are a big one in there.
Absolutely.
Speaking of which, bumper stickers you see all the time. I know I've talked about this ad nauseum. This idea that we're spending more on the military than it's like this paltry sum that's left for them. No, actually, our total spending on education is $946 billion annually compared to $835 billion for military, including, by the way, veteran care. Okay?
Yeah.
So it's important to note that just the bumper sticker doesn't necessarily, it's not
true.
accurate.
No, they're skewing the stat because 85% roughly comes from state and local governments and not federal.
Which, by the way, all of your parents, people watching, they all went to school before there was a national Department of Education.
And they're smart.
And they're okay.
And the test scores are fine. Some would say they're almost easier to employ than millennials.
Yeah. You want to see the pay rate go up for teachers? Get rid of public education. Tomorrow, competition.
Get rid of
would go
public education completely?
Get rid of it.
Well, he's a dick. No, I mean the federal Department of Education.
Yeah, get rid of the federal Department of Education.
Right, but
get the states out of it. Sell all the land. Let private companies come in, have a base for people who can't afford to go, and watch how people can now, instead of paying property tax that goes towards it.
Okay, so you're talking about a school voucher program.
No, I'm saying get rid of the schools.
Well, yeah, get rid of the schools, but you're saying give a base amount for
yeah. Well, so that they can't
attached to the student.
Yeah, exactly. So that poor families.
Even there, though, you don't even have to go that far. You can still keep public education in the states, allow them to do it, and give the kids a voucher so they can take it. So at least put it this way: right now, we have an educational system where you have no choice whatsoever. It just depends on your zoning district. Teachers can't be fired, and our test scores suck, and we're spending more on this than our nuclear arsenal. By the way, our military also needs to hold up the Star Wars defense system for Canada.
those poor bastards can't leave that to hang.
The Germans what are the Germans giving to NATO? Aren't they skimping on the bill there? Don't they owe more than they've been paying?
No comment. Beep, beep.
Yeah. Comment when it comes to plugging his social media.
That's right.
When it comes to shaming his country, and rightfully so. Nothing. All right. So according to CNN, actually, West Virginia now, they rank, this is the big catalyst for the story because they just get a 5% raise. People go, it's not enough. We're cutting teachers' salaries. Okay. West Virginia is a great example. This is in the news recently. They rank 48th in the nation in terms of how much they pay their teachers. So people go, well, okay, they're long overdue. Until you realize they rank 51st in SAT scores. Which, when I first read it, I thought that must be a typo. No, they're a marvel. Where else do you rank below the number of ranks?
And it's legit.
That's right. West Virginia, they rank 48th in terms of pay, 51st for SAT scores. So I'd actually say that's pretty generous. In any case, here to discuss it with us is Jed, our West Virginia Teachers Union correspondent. Jed, can you hear us?
Yes, sir. I can hear you.
Great. Okay, so Jed, what do you say to the skeptics out there, critics who say the 5% raise was unwarranted, considering your state already is 48th for pay but 51st for SAT scores?
That's huge.
That's dead last, Jed, if you were keeping track.
No. See, I'm afraid you're mistaken, Stephen. If you do the arithmetic now, hold on. If you add them together, you got the 48 divided by the 51.
That's not a thing. Jed, I think
hold on together now.
Okay.
If you put them together, and you subtract the numbers, you realize the disparity wage gap ain't even a thing, Steve, and I'm afraid you're mistaken.
Okay, how's that?
Well, now hold on.
I am.
45, 46.
Not enough.
Together, 246,100, Stephen, which is pretty much what I figured.
I don't know.
You're paid in dimes.
Yeah, no, I'm entirely positive that's wrong.
Well, it's not my fault. My phone didn't do the update.
There's been no update. There's not been an update.
Absolutely been an update, Stephen. I didn't get it.
Not at all. Not even close. No update.
I'm afraid you're mistaken.
Okay, Jed. So listen, you're ranked dead last. Your schools are strained budget-wise as it is, so you and your fellow teachers are getting a raise. The logic says that the money's got to come from somewhere. Do you know what they're going to be cutting to make up for it? Or where do you think they should?
That's all you care about, Stephen, is cuts. Cuts, cuts, cuts. We don't need any more cuts. The day our Air Force needs to host a bake sale to fund a naval ship and teachers get the money they deserve, it'll be a bright day for our America now. Since we ain't got there yet.
Whoa. Jed? Jed, what's happening?
I'm going to get my home and leave.
Okay, Jed, our West Virginia's Teachers Union correspondent. We'll be up after this with Ben Shapiro. More pleasant.
Now, like any commercial break, this announcement is for fans of the Louder with Crowder program. The viewers, listeners, and downloaders joined under the umbrella of comedy. I hope a lot of you guys and gals were listening out there because I have something I want you to do for me. March 22nd at SMU, 7 p.m. at the McFarland Auditorium, Louder with Crowder will be broadcasting live. I know, it's murder asking you to leave your computers and smart devices for a live show in 2018. And certainly a show this high energy is no cakewalk, although it shouldn't be too tough to attend for those who live in the Texas area. But remember this. All the leftists, social justice warriors, and professional protesters in Texas are already trying to stop this show from happening. They tried to run us out in a rail last time at SMU, and now we're offering you a chance to rub it in their face and fill up their whole damn theater with laughter, which is the nicest gift you'll ever get from the nicest live show you'll ever see. Oh, and they won't know what to do with themselves, because...
What do you do with an Antifa when he won't stop being an Antifa? It seems this campus really would enjoy laughing at 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 small Antifa unemployed.
So remember now, your objective is SMU, 7 o'clock on March 22nd. That's March 22nd at McFarland Auditorium. Doors open at 6. Synchronize your watches, guys and gals, for Operation Louder with Crowder.
Here we go. Keep clinking. Oh, you got it, big fool. Oh, you got it, big foolie.
I recorded message.
Oh, you got
Yeah. Get it. Glad to have our next guest. By the way, his parents have to sign a permission slip for him to be on the show. You know his show at dailywire.com. Just because he's like, he has to have it everywhere. He has to be gaudy about it. It's called The Ben Shapiro Show. Unlike with me, some people think my first name's Louder. Yeah. You can follow him on the Twitter. You know who he is.
No spoilers of this show.
Ben Shapiro, how are you, sir?
I'm doing okay. Just as always, when I watch you dance, I wonder what I've done with my life.
Yeah, well,
why this is happening.
I feel that way when I dance, which I've been told is actually the sign of a good dancer, is immediate regret, followed by comorbid tendencies.
So it's about
heard that from Baryshnikov, did you?
Yes, exactly. I've been studying a lot of. I took a humanities course in college, so this is what I've learned.
Okay, so
speaking of humanities,
perfect.
Ben, this week is just teed up for you. Let me just say the names. Nuremberg, Cohn. Your thoughts?
Okay, so why don't we begin with?
You already know.
Let's go. Why don't we begin with the globalist cuck Gary Cohn, who's finally out. That we're not calling him a globalist cuck because he's Jewish. We would never do such a thing. No. We call him a globalist because he likes free trade, and so he's out. There's just total staffing chaos inside the administration, which is not a shock, considering that Sam Nunberg was once part of the Trump campaign. Right. Like the top men seen from Raiders of the Lost Ark was apparent. Like that guy actually did the staffing at the Trump campaign.
Yes.
And then did it again at the Trump White House. So Gary Cohn being out is actually, it's less about Gary Cohn than about the guy who is who's replacing him, whose name slips my mind at this point, Peter Navarro, that schmuck, who apparently knows nothing about free trade, knows nothing about economics, but is firmly convinced that if we increase the price on everyone of basic steel products, that somehow the smelters will come back to Pittsburgh or something.
Yes.
This sort of bizarre idea that what we really need in America is more people in really heavy gear carrying around things like a scene out of Zoolander and having big fiery chasms beneath them. Like we need it to look like Mordor. We need more Mordor-looking parts of America. Like this is what's going to restore economic health.
I'm also not entirely convinced that Cohn didn't shoot a Face-Off sequel with Kevin O'Leary. When you see the stills,
it's possible.
I just sit
Good
there.
call.
Is that? Well, hold on a second. Kevin O'Leary worked for Donald Trump.
Who knew?
Who knew? No,
Well,
I mean,
him being out. I mean, I've talked to people in the White House. I mean, listen, the chaos inside the White House is a very real thing. Everybody in the White House basically has a last will and testament written up. Everybody knows that they could be gone at any minute, or they're thinking about quitting at any minute because, let's face it, Trump is not a good person to work for. Okay, turnover in this administration is extremely high. When you saw Trump the other day doing the "everyone wants to work here, only the best people want to work," like no one wants to fill. Who wants to be communications director?
Stormy
like
Daniels?
Steven, I can make you communicate. Stormy Daniels.
I'm
that's fair.
sure she'd settle out of court.
I think Huma's still trying for something.
Yeah, exactly. I could make you communications director inside of a week. We would just book you on Fox and Friends every morning for a week. And you would talk about how awesome Trump is, and you'd be comms director, and you'd last for approximately 2 weeks until you said something halfway intelligent, at which point you would be out on your ass. And apparently,
the only decision
Trump
would be saline or silicone. What would I go for to ensure job security? I think you're right. Here's the thing: we had to really. We talked about this the last time you were on. Trump's bite is his bark is worse than his bite. Right? His policies were pretty good toward the end of the year, toward the beginning of the year, and then the shooting happened, and of course it was like we talked about 60-40 underwater backwards backgammon, where he was actually pushing for some of this gun control legislation. Now we don't really know, and here we have it this week with the tariffs and the taxes. This is something I've always been against. A lot of people don't understand. I think the biggest partner in steel I think we have in the United States or aluminum is Canada.
Really?
Yes.
It's not China. It's Canada. Now
China's
I get
number
it.
11 on the list. Yeah, China's number 11 on the list.
Yes.
The notion that we're being screwed by Chinese steel is just not true. 70% of all steel consumed in the United States is created in the United States. The steel industry produced 5% more than they did last year. The year before, so meaning that it's actually growing, the steel industry in the United States. The stock price at companies like Nucor was like $10 in 2000. Now it's like $62. The United States have been producing approximately the same amount of steel since 1983. It's just that only 25% the same number of employees are required to produce that amount of steel because technology is what's taking away the jobs, not competition from foreign sources. So none of this makes any sense. For every job in the steel industry, there are at least 40 jobs that are dependent on products from the steel industry, meaning that if you increase tariffs, which increase prices in the steel industry, you're passing those prices on to a bevy of other industries. And I'm sorry, watching billionaire Wilbur Ross on national television holding up a Campbell's soup can to explain to the poor why it is that it doesn't matter that they're paying a little bit more for their canned soup is not real good press.
Do they use steel? I thought that was tin. So I guess
it's steel-plated tin, right?
I guess that's right, because tin would corrode, right? I don't know exactly. Either way, either way, there's BPA and someone's getting some cancer if it's Campbell's soup, from what I understand.
Well, at least a little pair.
I just need to buy my oregano oil. You'll be all good. Let me ask you this: there is some inconsistency here, because I understand some people support this idea because they feel as though we've been screwed on free trade. Now there is some truth. There's a kernel of truth, right? A good example is I talked about this with Ronald Reagan. The least conservative thing he did was the Harley Davidson fiasco. The reason Americans wanted Japanese bikes at that time was because they were better. Anyone go back to the AMF days? It was just awful motorcycles. And the protectionism actually hurt the consumer because we wanted to preserve an American company that should have gone bankrupt. Some people don't care. Be American, buy American. So let's put that aside, because I know we're not going to get everyone to agree. I think everyone has to agree that this is how I feel about this. There's a wildly inconsistent message this week. Either the economy is rip-roaring and it's booming and we're doing fantastically and we can't take enough winning, or we're getting screwed by foreign competitors and we need to batten down the hatches. It seems like there are some mixed signals.
For sure. And I think this is one of the problems for Trump, is that he doesn't care about the numbers. He's not interested in the numbers. And you can see that because the stock market has been down since these announcements about the tariffs. The markets have been thrown into turmoil. All the good that was done by the tax cuts could easily be taken away through a trade war. I think it's more about Trump has this vision in his head of 1956 America, when we were just making assembly line trucks and we were making our own steel in Pittsburgh and in Gary, Indiana. And never mind the fact that the sky was like purple because of all of the garbage that was being tossed into the air in the production of that steel. Never mind the fact that the Pittsburgh unemployment rate today is 4.6%, significantly lower than it was during those days, and the air is breathable in Pittsburgh because everybody is now in the healthcare industry or the service industry. Right. Trump has this, and it's why I think, honestly, there's such a gap in the feelings about Trump between people who are 60 and up and people who are 40 and under. People who are 40 and under look at this and they go, what are you even talking about? Like, you're talking about the steel industry as though as the steel industry goes, so goes America. I don't know anybody who actually works in the steel industry. I know people in the car industry. I know people in the service industry. And then there are a bunch of people who are over 60, and they remember working at a plant for 40 years and getting their gold watch for retirement. And they're thinking, well, if we could bring back those days, that would actually fix everything.
That's an interesting point. I'd like to stay on that for a second because I was just watching Driving Miss Daisy the other night with my wife. It was her grandfather's favorite film. Also, by the way, he amazing man, Fred Corzine. He was mayor. They call him city commissioner for Bloomfield, where Mitt Romney was from, professor, PhD, and was a bombardier in World War II. Just incredible. You go to the funeral, you're like, oh my God, what am I doing with my life? His favorite film was Driving Miss Daisy. So it was an emotional roller coaster to watch it with my wife because she had never seen it. But you know, Dan Aykroyd plays one of your folk, see? But in the South, it's always weird hearing a Winn-Dixie Jew. You're like, what is this? And Dan Aykroyd, it was just very horrible casting. Anyway, but he walks past the assembly line, and you see these people, right? He owns this big factory, and just, you know, it sounds like bullets going off in this factory, and you see hundreds of people employed. I'm going, hold on a second. When people talk about how millennials now there's less job security than ever and they feel like the lost generation, they've been abandoned, I'm going, how many millennials would spend 9-10 hours a day in one of those factories? Because when we're talking about the good old American days, that's what you're talking about with job security. That was Pittsburgh back then with a lower unemployment rate, with a higher unemployment rate. But how many millennials will be willing to do that? They benefit from the technology. I think there's a disconnect where when people talk about it, they need to say, this is what job security means. This kind of job back then, you'd hear a mighty different tune.
That's exactly right. The same people who decry the lack of job security are the same people who are with Nancy Pelosi when she says that we should ensure that you don't have job lock, that you shouldn't be forced to actually be in a job in order to have health insurance. Right. These are people who want to switch jobs every couple of years, or they want to pursue their dreams of being an artist. But the notion that any of them were going to sit there and weld, right? If they want to weld, they could do it right now. There are plenty of welding jobs in the United States, but can you imagine any of these gender studies majors actually welding? They're talking about the evils of capitalism and the lack of job security, and then they're majoring in gender studies. Yeah. Like if you cared about job security, maybe you'd go into those industries that are supposedly so hallowed about job security. Again, the only reason that those assembly line jobs were considered so awesome in 1930 is because assembly line jobs in 1830 were even worse. Right. Meaning that the jobs now are better than the jobs then. You'd want to work them more than you'd want, like, we laugh at people who are baristas at Starbucks. That's a better job. It is better to be a barista at Starbucks than it is to be sitting on an assembly line, ensuring that stuff that people are now doing in Vietnam is being done in the United States. Like this is just, it's such foolishness.
So you're saying again, you're more of a rivet guy.
Yeah, exactly. You got to rivet. What's a rivet?
You are so Los Angeles Jewish. Like I can't rivet. I'll ruin my hands. These are the money. This and this are the money.
I play violin. I play violin. Come on.
Gotta keep the hands.
I have to get my sneakers from Journeys.
How much? We have to get going here pretty soon.
Yeah, 10 minutes.
Oh, well, we've only been on for 10 minutes?
Only been on for 10 minutes.
God, it feels like forever. No, okay.
No, it feels like forever, right? Oh my God, it's been an eternity.
You said Nunberg. Have I been saying it wrong this whole time? I've been hearing people on the news say Nunberg.
I think so. Well, maybe they're mixing up him and Devin Nunes.
Yeah,
that's true. There's Devin Nunes, Nanu, and then there's Nanu, and then there's just
not going to work here no more. What's your read on the Nunberg situation? Obviously, because he came out.
He's a crazy person. I mean, that guy's crazy. That dude be crazy. That's not a shock. He actually called me one time during the election cycles, right after he'd been fired from the Trump campaign, and he's crazy. So, like, that was not a great shock. That
expect another call from him very shortly.
Yeah, exactly. The part. My favorite part is the part where Aaron Burnett is asking him if he's been day drinking, and he's like gulping from the cup, and you just got to imagine that there's whiskey in it for that to be absolutely hilarious. But Aaron Burnett, that was the one that really struck me, was all these other people, like he's calling into Jake Tapper. How's Jake supposed to know that this guy is a legitimate loony? But if you're sitting across from somebody and you say to them, have you been drinking because I smell alcohol on your breath? Then the question becomes, so why is he on your show?
Right.
And you do have to ask yourself why it is. Like, if let's say Austin Goolsbee just started showing up randomly to the Obama administration guy. He started randomly showing up to TV shows looking drunk off his ass. Do you think he makes the air that night? Do you think that they're just like, you know what, this is going to make great TV? Exactly. That's right. Nobody allows him anywhere near a camera. Right. But Nunberg is apparently a representative of a rather non-sober administration, so it's okay to do that. In the defense of the media, I will say
in defense of Donald Trump, he's a teetotaler. I don't think he's ever touched a drop. That's
right. But the attitude obviously is less than sober over at the White House, and it was during the campaign. And in defense of the media, I will say this: it is very difficult to distinguish people who are crazy like they should be in a loony bin crazy from people who are just crazy in politics.
We call those cray
Like if there were a guy who were wandering around trying to get himself booked on morning shows, let's say 2012, claiming that the president of the United States was born in Kenya and firing off tweets to like Kristen Stewart and Robert Pattinson, you might think maybe that guy shouldn't be on TV, but then he wouldn't be president of the United States, would he? So it's kind of difficult to.
Isn't Kirsten sort of lesbian though now? So I don't follow that part. I don't follow that at all. She's a lesbian now.
She likes to keep her options open.
So I guess
really? Did that happen? That's kind of.
Yeah, but that's gotta be rough on Pattinson. Robert Pattinson.
I think he might be gay too.
I don't know. But I saw him in a film recently. It wasn't very good.
Well, wouldn't that be amazing if they? Wouldn't that be amazing if they had a relationship and now he's gay and she's a lesbian?
It would be.
I'd say a lot about that relationship.
Yes, it would. It would almost be like what was it, Danny Kaye
revealing.
back in the day, or Rock Hudson, where they were all arranged, but secretly they were playing, I'll find a coin with Gomer Pyle. I also saw a film recently with Daniel Radcliffe. I saw they're trying to get out of their roles. Daniel Radcliffe is so embarrassingly bad at doing accents. It's this film called The Jungle. Ben, have you seen this film, The Jungle, with Daniel Radcliffe?
No, that sounds awful.
I still have no idea what accent he was trying to do. I was like, okay, so it's clearly Russian. Then I go, no, it's Bolivian. And then it turns out his dad was a Jew in an internment camp in like Poland. I mean, now I just don't know what to think. All I know is Harry Potter sucks at acting.
Sounds amazing. I don't know how we ended up here.
I don't know how we ended up here either.
Let's just stick here. I mean, anybody want to talk? Anybody want to talk Jumanji? I mean, as long as we're just talking.
I haven't seen the Jumanji. I don't want to ruin. I want to leave it there. My childhood memory.
Should we do Oscars? Come on, how do we not do Oscars, dude?
Because I did Oscars for 4.5 hours, and I am Oscar.
That's true. You did do that, and I ditched you. I ditched you on that, didn't I? Yeah.
That is true.
It's an unfortunate moment in our relationship. Yeah.
Well, listen, fish sex. That's all you got to do. Fish sex, you win an award. Apparently.
Yeah, Grinding Nemo, man. Grinding Nemo.
Was it Dory? What's the name of the other one? Dory.
Dory and Marlin.
Dory.
She forgot it because of PTSD.
Yeah,
she blocked it out. I haven't seen it. It's the only film I think on there, that and Lady Bird, that I hadn't seen. But you have seen Fish Sex, also known as Shape of Water. Your thoughts?
Yeah, SJW Splash. Yeah, it's the exact plot of Splash, except for it's a black woman, a gay man, and a mute woman.
It's like
rescuing
Splash.
Pretty much, that's exactly right. If you could cross Rent with Splash and set it in the 1960s, it's The Shape of Water, and then everybody praises it and says it's awesome. So great, one of the great war movies of all time, Dunkirk, versus SJW Splash. Where do you think Hollywood's going to go?
I think
with this one. I mean,
1,025,600 gallons. And then they have sex with a fish. It is really just despicable. We always said, hey, it's a slippery slope. Where does it stop? Do we get to interspecies?
It stops at Kurt Eichenwald. It stops at Kurt Eichenwald. A tender movie about Kurt Eichenwald and tentacle porn. That's where this ends.
Well, it was really hard. I mean, Not Gay Jared barely. I mean, I don't think his liver even made it through after 2.5 hours of drinking game. It was the SJ. And what's funny is there was a disconnect where Hollywood.
I mean, let's face it. Not Gay Jared's expiration date is 2 minutes from now. I mean, with all the press that you put him through. I mean, you like electrocuted the guy. You beat him with sticks. You like make him drink to excess.
I want to borrow.
I mean,
time.
I'm just shocked the man's alive. And the liver transplant list has already been set up for Not Gay Jared.
He's being held together by double-sided tape and strings from Jim Henson's Creature Shop
melted
right now.
Skittles.
He's not at all what you think. Let me ask you this. Do you think, as it goes, because last time you said, you know what, Donald Trump, if he continues this, could be a two-termer. After this week, do you think he could right the ship? This has been a rough week, obviously.
Well, I mean, it's if trends hold. So far, there's been no trend. Basically, it's been a scatter plot, is how his presidency has gone.
Sure.
He'll have a week that's an A, and then he'll have a week that's an F. And there's no continuous trend. So for 2 months there, it seemed like, okay, maybe this is under control. Maybe he's really getting a hold of things. And now it seems like he's been isolated in the West Wing. So Jared and Ivanka are obviously sort of alienated from the president at this point by John Kelly. John Kelly is apparently being ripped by Anthony Scaramucci at the behest of Donald Trump on national TV.
Right.
He's lost Rob Porter. He's lost Hope Hicks. A lot of his security blankets are gone. And so he's sort of lashing out and also identifying with people like Peter Navarro. So it's, yeah.
He would have been better with Dave Navarro from NXX. I think Dave Navarro would have been a better choice at this point. At this point, who's to know? I would just appoint anyone. I'm like, Ben Shapiro, you want a job? All right, come on in. You don't even like me. Just do whatever. I don't care.
Not not for all the tea in China, my friend.
Oh my
the
gosh.
idea of working for that administration.
I have a story to tell you after when we hit a break here, and you'll like to hear this off here. But it is the Ben Shapiro show, of course, at dailywire.com. I'm still fuzzy-headed from the Oscars, and you can listen to him on iTunes, on the SoundCloud, all over the place. And he loves that Quip toothbrush. We will talk with you soon, Mr. Shapiro.
Thanks a lot.
Now you best her.
When the dance time, cookies, get back.
We got his mom's time. Does it
Get up, there we go. Keep clinking. Are you got it?
Hello, Louder with Crowder viewers. Hopper here. Don't forget that you can listen to the podcast on the go on iTunes and SoundCloud. And the audio, you can download it, and you can listen at your leisure.
Live read time, one live read per week. Unlike Ben Shapiro with those damn electric toothbrushes and
Never end.
sheets.
How many toothbrushes
I tell
do you
what, He
need?
does have good products.
It's nice.
They're less afraid of him than they are of us. Listen, thank you so much, everyone. We've gained so many subscribers recently. The Change My Mind segments have done incredibly well. We are so grateful. But like we've talked about, we employ 15 people here at Louder with Crowder, and YouTube is not paying us. YouTube is not paying the bills with the demonetization. So louderwithcrowder.com/mugclub. If you join at $69, if you're a student, veteran, or active military for the year, you get this hand-etched mug. And not only do you get our show every single day, you get Morning Grinders with Not Gay Jared and Courtney and Gerald. And you get Mark Levin, you get Roman Millennial, you get Gavin McGinnis, you get Steve Dacey, you get a whole bunch of shows. If you like the free content, even if you don't want to watch The Daily Show because you want us in small doses, I don't blame you, kind of like me with Hopper's Tramadol. Still, this is how you get the free content by supporting us, and we are never going away on the free platforms. That's louderwithcrowder.com/mugclub, or you can, of course, enjoy the live show March 22nd at SMU, louderwithcrowder.com/tour. Enjoy the rest of the show. My dancing is limited, again, due to the painkillers and the injury. Big fan of our next guest. I grew up watching him. I grew up as a fan of his comedy, and then I got to know him. There are a few people where that's the case. Nick DiPaolo is one. I didn't really watch Joe Rogan's stand-up a whole lot because I was in Canada. We didn't really have access to it, but I watched him obviously on Fear Factor and UFC. Dennis Prager I listened to on the radio a lot. And this next gentleman, Jim Norton, you can follow him on the Twitter at Jim Norton. How are you, sir?
I'm good, buddy. It's funny on Twitter. I was looking. I'm sorry to hear about your back, but it's amazing what you're like. Yeah, I hurt my back, and people just immediately, hey, try falling off a scaffolding, you fruit. Like their back injuries are legit, and yours is like, you're a little sissy because you hurt your back doing something other than like a man's task.
Right? Yeah, I know. This is true. Although I did do it doing a sissy task. So it was warming. It was actually warming up, and I didn't respect the warm-up weight doing deadlifts, and I was in a rush, and so I skipped a couple warm-up sets, and it was funny. It was loud enough where, and actually the guy across the gym was like, "Oh, did you just hurt your back?" I said, "Yeah. Do you mind taking off the weights?" And then it's that rush home because you're in the eye of the storm, before it seizes up on you. So.
Do you wear like a belt when you lift? Because I just watched a video of the guy from Game of Thrones. Mountain just broke the deadlift record.
Yeah.
I think he just set a world record, lifted like a little over 1,000 pounds, like 1,000.
No. He's probably one hell of a bencher, though. Just that range of motion, just 800 pounds. Yeah.
No, he actually lifted Peter Dinklage and 5 of his friends. That was
yes, exactly. No, I didn't know that. The guy actually was talking with me about that today because that was held before by Eddie Hall. And Eddie Hall is one of the few strong men to ever compete. And watch people like, "What are you talking about strongmen?" There's actually a film about it called Born Strong. It's fascinating. At this point, he had never won strongman. He was competing against the Mountains. Zaviskas is one guy, and Brian Shaw. But he did hold the world record deadlift, I guess, until it was broken. And he said, as soon as I win World's Strongest Man, I will quit and I will lose, 100-something. And he did. He won it, and then he walked away because these people do not live long. Yeah. But the Mountain is like 6'8", 6'9", 400-something pounds. And I think his deadlift.
Aren't those guys all from Iceland, too? They're all Icelandic.
There's only like 300,000 people in Iceland. And all of them are World's Strongest Men competitors. I don't know how.
Keep that gene pool small.
I guess so, yeah. I guess so. They're all having sex with each other, yeah.
Yes, well, the study came out today. Your third cousin, it's fine. It just can't be your first cousin. It does not taint the gene pool.
Good.
Yeah. So listen, I know you have your tour. Your next March 16th at the DC Improv, or is it DC Improv? Is
Foxwoods, March 16th, yeah.
Foxwoods, okay. And DC Improv, 22nd to 24th. I wanted to ask you this because you're obviously one of the biggest names in stand-up out there right now. Can you remember your first time when you sold out a venue where people were there for you?
Oh yeah, it was. I was just getting on Opie and Anthony. It was a place in Philadelphia. It seats like 500, and it was called the Theater of the Living Arts. And we went on
Sounds
sale.
like one hell of a rockin' party.
TLA. We said TLA for short. That's how all the rock stars
Yes,
said
that's
it.
how you know the kids are into it. Yeah.
Theater of the Living Arts, and I sold out 5 shows in a couple of days.
Wow.
So that was the first thing that indicated to me, like, wow, this radio thing really is going to bring in an audience. But it's a weird, it's a relief and it's a pressure. Like the relief is, I know I just have to be funny. I'm not going to offend them. If they're Opie and Anthony fans and they're there to see me, they're probably there to do it. They listen to what I have to say. But if I suck, they're going to let me know it because they're Opie and Anthony fans and they paid to see me.
Right.
So I knew I had to be funny, but I knew I didn't have to worry about offending them. So it was kind of a pressure and no pressure at the same time.
That's a good way of describing it, because that was the first time for us at Virginia Tech, where it was a 550 seat and they were turning hundreds of people away. And we were surprised. We actually, because the comedy compression, I talk with these guys about it all the time. You want people packed in. If it's a room, you want them packed in as tightly as possible. So I had actually roped off the back rows and the side rows because I was like, well, let's put them in this pocket.
Sure.
And it was a bizarre experience. I think that's a good way to put it. There's some buy-in. So, okay, they understand where we're coming from. We're not going to have to worry about offending them despite Antifa protesting outside. But they're here for a good time. The flip side is, we better be funny, because they are here, like you said, to see us. And it changes the whole dynamics. I wonder if you've managed to keep sort of, I guess, your stand-up chops. A lot of guys get their second special. It's not the same. It's not as good. I see that a lot.
I like my newer ones better than my older ones. I'm more comfortable on stage. I enjoy them a lot more.
Yeah.
It depends on how long it takes. Like, it took me a while to get my first one, but I never stopped doing stand-up. Some guys just kind of like they tour on the same hour they just shot.
Right.
And I'm like, what are you doing? You just did that on TV. Everyone's gonna go there and know your dumb jokes. That would bore me to tears too. Like I couldn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
So right now I'm not ready for another special because I'm on this tour. I'm cycling through. There's so much stuff to talk about that the topical stuff just kind of goes out the back door.
That also speaks to your work ethic because that means I've told us to not cage here because you don't have really the same experience or Sven computer here. I've been bringing that. We're actually doing the full show live, the monologues, sketches, interactive stuff with the audience. And I said, listen, you've got to re-earn it every show. The next show, they don't know. They don't know this thunderous applause. They have no idea. You're starting at point zero. But a lot of comedians lose sight of that. And that's one thing that, not to blow smoke, but I've always watched your recent special. I'm like, oh, wow, the quality is actually, I wouldn't say gone up, certainly not gone down. It's been consistently really good.
That's really good.
It's not the case, though, with a lot of stand-up.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, you can't, the thing is, I'm just desperate. Like, I look at it like at any minute, everyone is going to realize I stink. So it's like I do the Chip podcast, I do radio, I do my gig. Like I'm trying to do everything just in case everything else is taken away. I'll
just
have
so
one
you know,
thing
you
left.
didn't finish that thought, and so what you just said was, I do my gay, and you continued.
So, that was probably my mind just saying, go ahead, out yourself.
So you shared it completely, really. Let me ask you this. Are you a guy, and then we'll talk about Stormy Daniels, because I'm sure you have some thoughts. Let me ask you this. Are you a guy who always gets nervous before on stage? Or are you someone who's, because I've always envied people who don't.
I think I do get mildly. Carson said he used to get nervous. Like, you have to have some, like, I'm not nervous, like, oh no, I'm not funny. What I'm nervous about is I hope I don't forget my act. I hope, I know most of the material will work in front of my audience because I've worked it out enough, but I'm like, I hope I don't forget my act. Like, I panic. I was going through this thing years ago where I was on stage. I was on a theater tour, and I was getting, lightheaded, and I thought I was going to vomit on stage. And I was at the Orpheum in Boston, and I'm physically holding onto a chair in front of about 2,300 people, and I'm like, I'm going to collapse. And I realized I was just afraid. And I finally just said to myself, you just shut up and collapse then, like in my head. And then it went away because I realized you're going to faint on stage.
Your inner monologue is Cagney? That's your con? Shut up and collapse, buddy.
Yeah. Look, Ma, bottom of the world.
And this was after you had risen to fame after your special? So you had it okay, I don't feel
2002, no, it was actually before my special. This was 2002. Okay. This was after Opie and Anthony first got fired. Monster Rain, my first special was 2007. Right. But I was just scared, man, and I didn't know how to say I was scared. So it made it into this physical thing. You're going to collapse. And then I just finally screamed at myself, like, just shut up. I was so disgusted with myself, and it kind of snapped me out of it.
Wow, that is incredible. Well, you know what? There you go. You should do like a Jordan Peterson book, 12 Rules for Life with Jim Norton.
Stage fright.
I think a lot of people wouldn't realize that would help. That would help a lot of people. A lot of stand-up comedians think about it. It is the worst environment humanly possible to do a job when you're starting, not when you're at this level. But it really is terrible. It really sucks. I have nightmares about being back at open mic nights and I'm like, oh, I still get nightmares about that. Let me ask you this: what do you think about the Stormy Daniels Donald Trump deal going on? I know. Go ahead.
I'll say this: like, I never care if a politician or a president has sex with other people. I didn't care when Clinton did it. I didn't care when I was 6 and they said Nixon did it with his Chinese minister. I don't care about Trump doing it. Have sex with whoever you want. But I think that she's a problem for him because she's famous enough that people are really listening to her, and she's not going away. I don't think she's going to ruin his presidency, but I think she's a problem for him at home. Like, I think his wife is going to, his wife is hot, and to have to deal with this. And you know what? Stormy Daniels is going to say certain things. And then he would do this thing where he would flick his hair and play with my nipple. And his wife's going to go, that's exactly what he does. She's going to know that woman's telling the truth. Like any girl, whoever says I had sex with her, if you just say, hey, did he like his nipples played with? If she's like, I don't remember, she's lying. If she goes, oh my God, it's creepy, he does that like a praying mantis, she's probably had sex with me. So that's what's going to happen with Trump. It's a problem for him at home. And whenever there's a lawsuit, especially on that level, like, what's he going to have to? I mean, Clinton and I think the Paula Jones thing, I had to go before. Was it a grand jury? I don't remember. It's been a long time.
Well,
I think
it depends which one we're talking about. There's Juanita Broderick, obviously Lewinsky, Paula Jones. So I do get them confused. And someone, again, Painkiller. Someone will fact check me. I do think one of them did.
Yeah, I never care about these guys having sex with other people. It doesn't matter to me. I mean, look, when you're a politician, you're a guy who likes power. Look, I love the Nashville mayor finally anteed up on the woman's side. That she had sex with her bodyguard and she just had to step down. So I don't mind any of them doing it as long as you're having sex with somebody who's of age. But I think that Stormy Daniels is a problem for him because that non-disclosure is an issue. And by the way, maybe. What?
No, go ahead. Go.
Oh, no, sorry. Is there a thing that says, like, you ever see JFK when Donald Sutherland's giving his monologue and he says everyone is safe except for the moment of the most secret connection? And I'm wondering, is there a secret place where there is something that says Donald Trump is this guy and she is that guy that has been notarized? Is there a place? Because technically Trump could just go, no, I'm not that guy. And she could go, no, I'm not that woman. So what is it that ties
yeah. You know what's funny that you bring that up? There was actually someone who told me, I have no idea if this is true or not. Okay, so people out there, this could be an entirely false story. But there was an actor friend of mine who said that he would get out of every ticket in Los Angeles. And he said he found out because he went to some lawyer told him, he said he would go down there and they would be in front of a, whatever judge. And the defense was just, that's not my signature. So that's all he said. He said, and he told me that's what he did. He said, just go in there. I said, that's not my signature. And the cop says, well, hold on a second, but that's, I said, but don't they have a copy of your signature? He says, no, I've also made it a point to actually never consistently sign my signature. He's like, but they don't check. So you just said it's not my signature. And I go, okay, word against word, and let's just move on down the trail. I have no idea if it's true, but I thought, if it's that simple as just lying at the root cause of it, the signature, you just have to lie before they cut you off with another lie. Just, that's not my signature. So I wonder, and I wouldn't put it past Donald Trump.
This is how dumb I am, by the way. If they said to me, I'd say this is not my signature. They'd say, could you sign your name? And like an ass, I would sign it exactly the way it was on the ticket. Like I would blow it. I don't know. It's the weird stuff. This one, again, we're in the infancy of it. But I kept thinking Nixon and Watergate, not the crime, it's the cover-up. But that started as such a small, stupid thing. But it just kept popping up. And it just kept popping up and it wouldn't go away. And again, that's a different thing than this. But it's one of these things where when it doesn't, but then again, you know what? Monica Lewinsky didn't go away and Clinton survived. So maybe this won't kill his presidency. But I do think it's
crazy when you look back, though, and think about Lewinsky and Clinton. It is crazy to me that his wife, when you look at, just how complicit she was, and everyone knows it. Yeah. No, I mean, listen, it's one of those things, this isn't a conspiracy. I'm not talking about the Clinton body count. I'm talking about Hillary Clinton clearly knowing. You have to believe either she's a retarded person, which I don't believe, that she had no idea, she was the only one who wasn't in on it, or you have to understand that she was helping to try and cover this up because she was paving the way for
I think it would have been so much worse at the time had we had social media access like we do today.
With the Clintons?
Absolutely, yeah.
A lot worse.
I think you know what? The bigotry sort of soft expectations that people have for President Trump, like, well, he tweets, he said so many outlandish things now, people don't care. I think it's the same low expectations with the Clintons as far as their barometer for evil. They're just like, it's
total
Hillary. They
depravity.
killed somebody. You know.
You know what? Though, with Hillary too, it's always funny. Like, she is obviously a smart person, but the fact that she's this beacon of feminism, and it's almost like she's kind of anti what feminism is supposed to be. It's like any feminist, if your girlfriend or your neighbor tolerated that crap from her husband, you'd say, "You weasel, get up and walk out."
Right.
You don't sit there with a guy who's embarrassing you in front of the whole country. But I think when you marry into politics and you're in that world, I think they understand this is what it is. It's like being married to Tommy Lee. I mean, you're not surprised if he's going to jam it in somebody in Dayton, Ohio. What, are you going to be shocked? Of course not. You kind of know. So I think
Cincinnati Zoo was our place. How could you? I don't think anyone could be surprised. Hey, speaking of which, let me ask you, what do you think about the state of comedy as it relates more so to the entertainment industry? We just saw the Oscars. I don't know who you're. Obviously, I know you were tight with Jay Leno. I don't know who you're friends with in the late night department, so I don't want to get you in trouble. But Kimmel was super political there. A turnoff for a lot of people. I watched it and it just seemed so flat. And it occurred to me in 2018. Comedy, certainly as it relates to what you can see on television, thank God for Netflix and YouTube, it's not very fun anymore.
You know, somebody raised a good point. Like, I love Gervais when he hosts the Golden Globes, because he kind of sets out to ruin their night. And somebody pointed out that you either play to the audience or you play to the people at home. Ricky plays to the people at home, and Jimmy was playing to the audience. I was actually impressed because I was surprised he addressed Harvey Weinstein at all. I thought that they were going to totally and just bash Trump. And like, you want to bash Trump, that's fine, he's the president. But I thought it was just going to be so predictable. But I was a little shocked that they went into it, and they did talk about Me Too. And it's a tough gig for him too, because a lot of those people might be victims in the audience who have had like assault from producers and not know what to do. And he probably doesn't want to bomb at the Oscars and then ruin the fact he's never going to get these people on his show. Like, don't forget, he's performing for the people who come on his show. So that's kind of a tough gig. And I have
That's a good point.
I've done a show
for the audience at home, because imagine how hard. I mean, we would have been pissing ourselves laughing if he made, the Hollywood rape jokes and it made people in the audience really uncomfortable. Cut to Jennifer Garner and she's like, and you're like, she was one of them. We would be laughing at home, but you can't. So he has to cater to them. That's really. It's kind of like I talk about with a debate. We do these change my mind segments. What you have to do is identify who you're talking with. Is it someone whose mind can be changed? If so, you try to. And if it's not, if it's like a hardcore leftist who wants to get us banned from SMU, what you have to do is go, okay, at this point,
over them almost.
I'm talking to them for everyone else watching.
Sure. Yeah, I've long since given up trying to change people's opinions, because it's not my job as a comedian. Like, as a comic, I try to be funny and I want to be original and I want to express my opinion. And if people like it, great. And I've had my opinion altered a little bit listening to comedians, but I don't like to be spoken at. Like, my goal is not to go out there and educate anybody. I don't think I'm so much smarter than the audience that they need me on stage to educate them. Sometimes you change someone's mind, sometimes you don't. But, I think it's fun to make people laugh at things that they don't agree with.
Right.
Like, to me, that's a great challenge. Because whenever I mention Trump, I make fun of certain parts, but I don't just go up there and kill him, because to me, every comic does that. And I don't hate him, so I'm not going to pretend I hate him if I don't. And it's fun to watch
the Trump thing. It was like the Bush years toward the end. You're like, it's not even fun anymore.
You never want to know, like, an entire business should never have the same political opinion. If the business is open, there should be some who like him and some who don't, and some who think he says good things and some who thinks what he says is crap. I mean, there's certain guys like James Woods and other guys who are really all in with him, but with comedy, you don't see as many guys. Like Nick DiPaolo, I know is fine with Trump.
Yeah.
But a lot of guys, I think even guys that like certain things he says are afraid of it. And that's the beauty of me, is I'll never go higher than mediocrity, so they can't hurt me. What are they going to take away? The comedy seller from me? I get paid $35 there.
Well, yeah, exactly. And you're not afraid to go low. When they go high, go low. You're like Peter.
Absolutely. Believe me, I will undercut all the other comedians.
Absolutely. Okay, so this I have your Twitter. Where's the website though for people to go and check out your tour for the future dates? I know you're kind of winding down.
JimNorton.com. JimNorton.com.
JimNorton.com. He is going to be. I have Jordan Peterson up in front of me at Jim Norton, because some people have the underscore and it throws you off, and then someone recently had the dash.
It's awful.
Like, why would you have a dash in 2018 and not use an underscore? JimNorton.com. He's going to be at the DC Improv, and we'll have you back soon, brother. Have a good time with these shows. Don't collapse. Don't collapse.
All right, buddy. Thanks a lot. Yeah, feel better, man.
March 22nd, SMU, Dallas, Texas, prepares for the greatest show on earth.
I'm free.
Can I come inside, guys? Beep, beep.
No, go away!
But it's raining out here. Beep.
Does our Apple Care cover that? What's it?
No, it covers manufacturer defects. Doesn't
But not
cover
for
like
water damage?
negligence.
So do you think should I do that?
Just be safe.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm free! I'm free falling! Free! I'm free falling!
I found out what the key is there. Key is the webbing.
Oh, really?
I learned this as a kid.
That's how you get out.
No one taught me how to swim. I jumped off but I learned my methods through observing ducks.
Ducks.
The child, and I was going, I'm not getting anywhere.
Thank you, Sesame Street.
And then I
for
looked and I
that.
said, wait, there seems to be webbing. Did that? Nah, I just fixed the riptide problem.
Not even a problem
Also,
anymore.
mallards mate for life.
Really?
So long as they're not first cousins. I had to bring it back to that. Jim Norton, Ben Shapiro, thank you so much. And by the way, we were going to be broadcasting live from South by Southwest next week. They kicked us out. They revoked our passes for people who were. Now, me and Not Gay Jared, wink, foreshadowing. But we won't be broadcasting live. So it's going to be a normal show next Thursday, and then March 22nd, live from SMU. The week after that, Illinois, live broadcasting on campus. Who knows what could happen?
With the knows.
A little bit different for the last segment today. You just saw her dancing. She has been writing it louder with Crowder now for the last, I want to, is 8 months, something like that, a year. You know her, Nichole Cooper. Nichole, how are you?
Doing well, thanks, Stephen.
Thank you for being on the show. Now, listen, for people who don't know, this is actually, we wanted to have her on because this is going to be her last day at Writing It Loud with Crowder. Today is her last day, and we wanted to see her off. Nichole, how long have you been writing at the website?
Almost a year now. Yeah, coming up on a year.
Okay, almost a year. That's right. And you came to us through the golden ticket submissions for people who
Yes.
don't remember.
Yeah, that was totally kind of just by chance. I was on y'all's website one day, saw the jobs tab, and the rest is history.
The rest is history. Not so much. No, I mean, it lives on forever in an archive. It's
true.
I guess that technically is
there.
history. It's digital history. And for people asking, no, I did not give you the boot. We are all actually very hard.
You're fired. Want to come on the show?
You're fired. Want to come on the show? Come on, put a smile on for how about a smile, pussycat? No, we're actually really sad that you're leaving us. It took, first off, it's going to be hard to replace. It took us a long time with the golden tickets, hundreds of submissions, was totally blind, by the way, and you just happened to be the best person who applied. But you are leaving us, and I don't want to steal your thunder. I'm on a pain pill today, too. So listen, it's okay. At this point, if anyone's paying attention, there's some buy-in. They know who you are. Can you explain to them why it is that you're leaving us at this point so soon?
Yeah. So I'm actually really sick. That's why I'm laying on a pillow instead of in a proper office chair.
I thought it was a style thing. People were using pillows at that time.
You know, that's just lounging.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you look fine. You still look great on the Skype, better than me.
you.
Yeah. Sorry,
Or
continue.
whatever. So yeah, I'm really sick. I have a late stage Lyme disease. Borrelia burgdorferi is the technical term. And it's just been getting worse and worse. And I was just like, I need to leave Louder with Crowder before my writing starts being affected, because I've been really, really sick before. I kind of bounced back, but I'm kind of back on the downhill. So
Yeah.
like, I know my body and I know, when I'm going to get worse. And I was just like, I need to just step back, because you guys deserve the best people to be working with you. And I know that I can't be performing at my best.
Well,
so.
you deserve some rest and recovery time. And I was trying to read up on this. because I know everyone knows Lyme disease and ticks. I wasn't really familiar with this, and honestly, I didn't know that you were, especially going on campus. I don't want to reveal anything, but wheelchair bound. That was kind of a surprise when Courtney told me that a while back. I was like, I didn't even know, and I felt like a real ass for not knowing. I should have asked. What is this exactly? Because most people are not familiar with it.
Yeah, so everyone's, familiar with acute Lyme disease, as you said. It's something that you can get from a tick bite. Also, mosquitoes and spiders can carry it. However, if you're not treated right away after you get bitten and infected, it can turn into chronic Lyme or late stage Lyme. And that basically is just these little bacteria. They're spiral shaped and they can get into anywhere in your body. And so they love the nervous system and attacking the nervous system. So mine got into my brain and my spinal fluid. And so I have problems with seizures, cognitive difficulties, heart difficulties, just started having thyroid stuff. It's affecting my blood counts now. So it can really just wreak havoc on your whole body. I have friends who are on feeding tubes and yeah.
I know you mentioned there's some controversy, I guess, surrounding the idea of some people say it doesn't exist. And again, I don't know anything about anything when it comes to Lyme. I got checked. I'm like, okay, no tick, I'm good. What's the controversy with the Lyme?
So the controversy is, well, first of all, as you said, a lot of doctors and people don't believe in Lyme. They don't think it's a thing, just because there hasn't been a lot of research up until now. There's a lot of stuff coming out of Johns Hopkins, Duke University, and Stanford, where they're finally saying, hey, this is a real thing. These patients need help and these patients need treatment. The biggest debate right now, however, is what the best way to treat Lyme patients is. Antibiotics have always been the way to go, but it can be really invasive because a lot of patients have to go on IV antibiotics
Well, I
for years.
think you kind of people throw the baby out with the bathwater. Like Jared and I talked about that with colitis. Everyone says, I have colitis, I have Crohn's, and they blamed gluten. Like, well, gluten is the thing, and so it just sort of became naturopaths was, okay, avoid gluten, and so people go, I feel lethargic. They say, chronic Lyme. So some of that gets tossed under the umbrella, but there are actual neurological. Obviously, with you, it's not. I feel kind of bloated. You've had the blood work and been on antibiotics for a while. I know.
Yeah, most definitely. And so the standard Lyme test that's given today for acute Lyme disease, it's not accurate. It's only 60% accurate. The most recent study has shown. And so there's new tests that have been developed, and they picked up on mine from those new tests, but it took them 8 years to find.
Hey, listen, don't worry about the word flub. You're doing better than me right now. Thanks to Hopper's Tramadol. They should be a sponsor right now. I've talked about it. By the way, exact same pills as the vet described to me. Also, the vet is also a liar.
Prescribed.
Yeah. What did I say?
You said Tramadol?
Described? There we go. Look, I don't have Lyme. I'm just a moron. By the way, people, and the reason I wanted to bring you on was because I know it's hard to get in to see specialists and neurologists and people who might know this field. Put it this way: whether people out there, wherever they line up on Lyme disease or chronic Lyme disease or this idea or not, you have these neurological issues. I know you need help, and I know that it's been tough. There's a long waiting line with specialists. So please, anyone out there, if you can help her, email Nichole at louderwithcreditor.com. That's Nichole with an H, right? Nichole with an H at louderwithcreditor.com. And I wanted to bring you on too, Nichole. Because we've talked about this, like there are very, very few layoffs in this company. And honestly, the only reason the layoffs that have ever happened is because it affected everybody else in the team. And, you came to us blind with a golden ticket application, and we've always kind of done these sort of employee assessments. And Courtney and Jared and I, and specifically Courtney and I on the website, have always gone, whenever it came to you, we're like, well, she's particularly got a great attitude. Such a positive attitude, such a can-do attitude, and you're a student. And you've always been so grateful, and we've been grateful to you, and you've been so consistent, and to the point where I honestly didn't know that your health was as bad as it was, because people wouldn't know it to communicate with you. And you've helped a lot of other people, so I wanted to just do what we can to get you some help here. You've been great to us.
Thank you so much, Stephen. I've enjoyed working here so much. It is so hard for me to walk away. You guys are amazing. You work so hard and just produce amazing material. So it's an honor to have worked here.
Well, it's been a pleasure for us to have you work for us. And of course, if you recover, you always have a welcome spot to come back. And I think it's important for people to see out there. A lot of people, they just think, we've talked about this. people who work for me are the first people I think of when I get up, often the last people before I go to sleep, outside of my wife. Constantly, we've been talking about this. Constantly, we've been thinking about these things. And constantly, we want to make sure that people are taken care of. That's why we have a very closely knit team. Now, we could just hire day raters like other companies do and pay them the lowest amount to do clickbait, which we've seen a lot of sites fall by the wayside. But I think a big part of it is people like Courtney and Casey and Brodigan and Corey and yourself and, of course, Jared and everyone who works here. I think people can sense a difference, and people can sense a difference. A big part of these sweepstakes and a big reason you went through is, like I said, there's an attitude and the way you treat other people, the way you work with other people. It's been a real blessing to a lot of us, and we're really sad to see you go. But I really hope that someone out there hearing this can give you a hand, and hopefully some people also learn. Listen, not all employers, employees. It's not the Scrooge McDuck.
No.
We actually care. I certainly care, and. Sometimes it's tough. Sometimes I feel too deeply, but in this case, I'm all torn up about it. I'm gonna miss you.
I'm gonna miss you guys too, a lot.
Well, listen, we're always a phone call and a Skype away,
right.
hopefully get some. That's Nichole with an H, Nichole at loudowithcrowder.com. We're going to see you guys next week. Please keep Nichole in your thoughts and prayers, and send her any help or anyone who you think might be able to help. Nichole, we love you. Genuinely, I love you.
Thank
you better love her, not Jared.
Yeah.
Say it. Say it.
Love you too.
Be a man. Yeah.
Love you too, Jared.
Love you, Nichole, and we'll certainly be in touch talking with you. And everyone else, you want to play us out here, Nichole? Tell them we're going to see them next week.
Oh yeah. Thank you all for joining us tonight, and we'll see you next week.
There you go. She should have had my job.
Wow.
Look. How many subscribers you got on YouTube, son? When you crossed over that 1 million mark, you were beautiful. Could have been the next PewDiePie. That hat vision skunk we got you for a lawyer. Raised your profile too fast.
It wasn't him, Nichole, Jared. It was you. You remember that night at South by Southwest, you told me it'd be a great idea to crash Cenk Uyghur's panel? You said it'd be a great idea. A great idea. We were demonetized before that broadcast even went live. So what happens? Cenk Uyghur gets direct support from YouTube, and what do I get? A one-way ticket to demonetization bill. You were my producer, Nichole, Jared. You should have looked out for me a little bit. Should have taken care of me just a little bit, so I wouldn't have had to do those web-based security ads for the short-end money.
I got you in the MySpace trending list. You saw some clicks.
You don't understand. I could have had class. I could have been at DePaul. I could have been somebody. Instead of a mug club salesman bum. Which, let's face it, Nichole, Jared, is what I am. It was you, Nichole, Jared.
Okay. I'll tell YouTube. Couldn't find you. Here. Take this Walther PPS with extended mag and crimson trace laser. You're gonna need it.
That's a high-quality item.